Let's talk to Douglas Herbert now about all of this. And on Matt Gaetz, first of all, why do you think Donald Trump has picked him?
Um, Pretty clear. If you're going to ask me, what I would say is that Donald Trump has seen the Justice Department as a weaponized government body. He has said this. He believes that it was weaponized by his former rival in the campaign, Joe Biden, to go get him. Justice Department was turned into a vehicle to get Donald Trump. And what he has wanted to do and has almost vowed to do, if elected president, as he now has been, is to use the Justice Department to exact revenge and retribution against those people that he sees as his enemies, real and perceived. And he believes that Matt Gaetz is the perfect conduit, the perfect vehicle for exacting that type of retribution. Now, you're asking me, why did he pick him? Look, Matt Gaetz, on the surface, and we heard some of it in that report, he is not a prosecutor. He has never been a prosecutor. He has never been in a courtroom prosecuting anything. Does he have ties to the Justice Department? Sure, he does, because last year he was under investigation as a suspect, a Justice Department investigation on alleged sex trafficking and sexual misconduct. That investigation was wrapped up, concluded, no criminal charges were brought, and then the House Ethics Committee sort of took up the slack, took up the ball, and ran with it. And now that looks like it's going to be dropped as well because he's just resigned from the House. The House no longer has jurisdiction, the Ethics Committee, over that case, so on and so forth. So Matt Gaetz is signally, according to his own allies, according to Republicans in Congress, not me saying it, his own allies, their jaws, you could hear the jaws almost hitting the floor yesterday at this announcement. They do not see him, not only as not qualified, they see him as perhaps one of the worst possible picks for this post. And a lot of them are already signaling there's no chance he's going to even be confirmed. This in a Congress which is already beholden to Donald Trump, ready to do Donald Trump's bidding, even in this ultimately arch-friendly Congress, Matt Gaetz is unlikely, I don't say it can't happen, but unlikely to pass the confirmation process. That shows just how much, I'll use the word reviled he is by most of his own colleagues in Congress. There's a reason he got a reputation as a flamethrower. Not me being hyperbolic about Matt Gaetz and spewing my opinion about him. This is his own colleagues saying these things about a man that they saw as almost impossible to work with.
Right. And let's look at the wider picture then for Donald Trump, because the Republicans now control the House of Representatives and the Senate. They have that so-called trifecta. Does that mean that effectively Donald Trump can implement his agenda with very few checks?
Fewer checks. There are a few caveats here. You're absolutely right. Look, presidents, it used to be sort of par for the course. Presidents coming to power would have that trifecta. It was almost taken for granted. I will say that both Donald Trump and Joe Biden had a trifecta for the first 2 years when they came into to office. As a result, Biden was able to pass a lot of his sort of landmark legislation early in his term when he had that Democratic majority of the houses. Donald Trump had more or less freeway in his first 2 years in office. Midterm elections usually bring in, the voters are like, throw the bums out, and the opposition party gets a toehold in again, and the dynamic changes. And usually presidents have less leeway in the second half of their terms. That could be the case again if history is any precedent. But like I said, with Donald Trump, he not only has this trifecta, but he has a trifecta in a sense. And even if it's a narrow majority right now in the House, maybe 3 or 4 seats, and a very slim majority in the Senate as well, even with that, he has not just any majority. He has a majority of senators who are really ready to almost march in lockstep with Donald Trump. There isn't this sort of range and diverse opinions across the party. Most of these party members, if they're not already sort of steeped in the aspic of the MAGA movement, they're inclined to at least follow those who do and are doing Trump's bidding. So he's going to get some resistance. He might not get all of his nominees through. They might not always do what Trump says they have to do. But Trump has signaled, and they in turn have signaled back, that if Trump wants them to do his bidding, they are inclined to follow him because the narrative right now, Nadia, is that he has a mandate from the American people. They want action fast. And a lot of his Senate allies are inclined to say that people who voice a dissent or try to stop or thwart Trump's agenda are thwarting the people's will. That's the narrative we're going to hear more and more in the months and years ahead.
Douglas Herbert, thanks very much.